Hey there, everybody. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of Monday Night Must See TV with the Hudson Valley Squares. We got a fun show for you here tonight. Let me introduce the crew. Mr. Stephen Keeler is in the house. Chris Allo's here. Our center square is Craig Kaminsky. Butch Jones is here. Nick Franco's here. And the Count himself, Ralph Tambora. What's going on, folks? How you guys doing?
Going on, folks?
Good.
Wow.
Cool.
We got matching cups, Ralph.
And what are the odds of having two Benham hats in on the same
I
show?
was gonna say Ralph and I got matching hats.
Wow, I didn't even notice that. Look at that. Very cool. Very cool. So this idea for tonight's show is Mr. Allo. So what we've asked is everybody to pick out their three favorite commercially available concert films, DVD, Blu-ray, some kind of music-related release that was released out there in the stores and whatnot. And we've got decades and decades of cool things that have been released, concert films. So this was kind of difficult because there's so many good ones. So we've each picked out our favorite three, or as close as we can get to favorites. And we'll do two at a time. And then the last go around, we'll do our top one. So we'll start with Mr. Keeler down below. We'll go in the same order that we just introduced everybody. So Steve, why don't you kick us off with your first two selections here?
All right. So I was thinking I wasn't gonna make it tonight, but things changed and I was able to join. So I kind of
Glad you did.
took some notes in the last 2 hours of work. Like what did I used to really like to watch a lot back in the day? Because I haven't picked up a DVD in a long time. But I'm thinking of stuff that was released. I probably had on VHS. I had it on DVD. I might even have Blu-ray on a couple of these still. But I'm going for number three. I'm keeping this pretty much classic rock. I am going with Rush, Rock and Rio.
Oh, that's a good one.
I love that album. Not that album, that DVD, that concert. I just think it just shows how the power of that audience portrays it with Rush as they play. People are going crazy. And Rio for everything, and one of my honorable mentions is also from there too. But it's just, and how that the crowd, the band just feeds off that crazy maniacal crowd. So Rush and Rio, I thought I could have went with Exit Stage Left, but I went with something a little bit newer just because it was such a spectacle to watch. My number two is I'm going way back to a tape, a VHS tape I used to play a lot, and I put it on tonight when I was eating dinner and I came home from work. Is Yes Songs by Yes. I simply love watching that video, and it just brings back such good memories. I used to always watch that, like that was like a Christmas Eve every year. I used to put that in for some reason. I don't know why, but I would always listen to that around the holidays for some reason back in the day. And just a great flick and a great performance from Yes from 1972. It was released in 73.
I remember the first time I ever saw that was on Night Flight. You guys remember Night Flight?
Yeah, absolutely.
USA Network.
Yep.
Discovered a lot of bands from that show, boy.
Oh yeah.
Man, how they jammed, how they looked, everything just classic, spacey, and
yeah, it's a great
stuff.
Great film. That's
Very 1972.
It very is. Yes, there's some capes and stuff, and
Rick Wakeman with his case of beer right behind his Moog synthesizer, right? He remembered to reach back and yep. Ah, yes, the good old days. Cool. All right, we're off to the races here. Chris, what do you got for your first two?
Okay. I did kind of similar to Steve. I pulled a whole bunch because I don't know if I'm pulling a Ralph and doing like 20 honorable mentions.
Oh boy.
But I wanted to I actually was gonna. I'm like, fucking guy Ralph. I'm like, I'm gonna show him. I was gonna originally do the episode in my garage where I have like 1,000 fucking concert discs and just pull them off the wall. I'm like, oh fucking, I don't feel like running the wire. But I did exactly what Steve did, and like, all right, so what are the ones that like I watched a million times as a kid? So number 3, I remember renting this on VHS from Crazy Eddie.
Huh.
Crazy Eddie in White Plains, New York.
They used to rent stuff?
Yeah, there was a Crazy Eddie in White Plains. They had a small, you remember, you guys remember, you guys old enough.
Yeah.
Like, you could rent VHS tapes for a while from fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
Like from like delis and 7-Elevens and like anywhere that there was counter space. So yeah, I remember
Eddie's
crazy.
prices were insane.
Yeah, it's true. So it wasn't for sale, but they had the VHS of Venom, The Seventh Date of Hell, and I couldn't tell you how many times I
Crazy
rented it.
Eddie's.
There it is. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
See, Ralph has it. Eventually it came out on DVD. I don't know what this is. Black Metal from shit. This is I think it says 2009, and it's got the whole disc on there. And man, I've seen this so many times. They just there you go. They just blow up everything. I mean, it's the most insane pyro-filled show I've ever seen. I guess probably outside of Rammstein, except the Venom one seems a lot more dangerous. You know, they probably didn't know what they were doing. They almost caught on fire a couple times. But it's a fun show. That's my number 3. And my number 2, similar. When I was a kid, the Camel Video in Yorktown, which was the local big video store by my house, had Judas Priest Screaming for Vengeance live from Memphis in 1982.
The MTV show.
Yeah, I have the big box VHS somewhere. I don't have time to look, but it was re-released on the Metalology box set, which I had signed by Tipton, Halford, and Downing, and it's the full complete disc on here. Yep. And man, I'm sure you guys have all seen it, but it's really Priest at their finest. I mean, it's just them with stacks of amps, and man, you know, I know when people complain nowadays that like Rob Halford is a little lethargic and you know, sometimes he's a little disconnected from the audience. I'm like, man, he wasn't like that in '82, even though I didn't see him in
that's for
82.
sure.
You know, he was engaging with the audience. He was looking at the audience, and man, they were just on fire. So that's my my number 2.
Cool. Greg.
As in similar fashion, the ones that I'm picking are also ones that I watched on videotape in the late 80s or so. Where I lived, the record stores were generally in the mall, but there was one that was in a strip mall called Record Revolution, and their prices were a little bit cheaper. Plus, they had a comic book rack, so I could buy an album and a comic book for like $7 and change or so. But at the very back of the store, they had a whole wall of music videotapes that you could rent, and they were all different prices. So back then, this was a time where you could get, like Chris had said, you could go to a grocery store and you could maybe get rent two movies for $4 maybe, or something like that. Some of these music tapes that they had were really expensive for the time. The Holy Grail one was the Black and Blue video, the Black Sabbath one that they had for $12 a day back in the late 80s, which was expensive, you know, considering you made like $4 an hour back then. But and the Iron Maiden live in '81, I think, was like $6 or $7 a day, the like 6-song collection. But my first choice is from 1985, the Combat Tour Live, Venom, Exodus, and Slayer. My brother and I would rent these movies and then hook up 2 VCRs back to back and tape them and quick get them back so we could only rent them for one day and pay as low price as possible. So it's a great show. At least the Slayer and Exodus parts are from Studio 54. The Venom parts are from a different show. There's only a couple songs from Venom along with some interviews from them, but they're still pretty cool. The Slayer and Exodus songs are great, from Paul Bailoff doing songs from Bonded by Blood, and the Slayer songs from their first 2 albums. And fun fact, in my 11th grade English class during Shakespeare, we were doing Shakespeare. I switched the videotape of Romeo and Juliet that we were watching, and I put in my copy of The Ultimate Revenge, and it was set to Die by the Sword. Got in a little bit of trouble for that, but it was well worth it to see the looks of horror on some of my classmates' faces when they saw Tom Araya, you know, banging his head away at that instead of
good for you, Craig.
Instead of that. So that was fun times back then. My second choice is one from probably was in my favorite band at the time, and it's Iron Maiden, 12 Wasted Years, it was called. It was a documentary that was about an hour and a half or so that went from 75 to 87. So the end of it was right at somewhere in time. It had a lot of interviews with the guys, including Paul Di'Anno, and some video performances, a lot of live stuff, which at the time probably wasn't really commercially available. So, because they had performances of Total Eclipse and Bruce Dickinson singing Murders in the Rue Morgue. They had some BBC performances with Paul, and even one all the way at the end, I think, where they're totally botching a lip sync on Top of the Pops of Wasted Years, where they just say screw it, and they're not even, they're different guys in the band are singing the song. But it's a lot of fun. It was really informative at the time, and this was a time before programs like VH1 had Behind the Music and things like that, where you could learn about some of the backgrounds of metal bands. So yeah, 12 Wasted Years is my number 2.
Cool. Butch.
Well, Mr. Pardo changed the rules on us from 5 down to 3, so I'm going to feel bad. So I'm just going to quickly, because these are not honorable mentions. These were part of my top 5. Damn it! I got to figure out this light thing. I have to buy a ring light or something. This sucks. Look at this. I can't even see it. It's Stevie Ray Vaughan live from the El Macambo in Toronto. If anybody likes Stevie Ray and you've never seen this, you need to fucking watch. The whole thing is up on YouTube now. This is from the first record, Texas Flood Tour. Stevie is fucking unreal, unfucking believable. And then also gotta get Viv in here, because last week was Viv's 61st birthday. So right. Dio live at the Spectrum, VHS. So it shows how long I've had both of those. All right. So my number 3. This is a goodie. I love this so much that I had a friend dub this on the DVD for me. So Aerosmith live at Texas Jam 1978.
Oh, wow.
You want to talk, if you're an Aerosmith fan, this is the shit. You want to talk about watching Aerosmith in their most fucked up era? They were, oh my God, they were so awesome though. They were so drunk. You just still, not stills because it's live, but you're watching Steven Tyler, and they have shots of him, and he's just standing there, and they show it like a close up of his face, and you can see he's on another planet. Oh, but it's so good though. Oh God damn. Texas Jam 1978, phenomenal.
I got to see them, Butch, and at the Meadowlands on that tour, 78 at Giant Stadium.
Wow.
So Draw the Line.
Yeah, whatever it was. It was off that Cal Jam 78, and
yeah,
yep, it was. Yeah, it was.
Draw the Line tour, because I was 77 going in.
It was Aerosmith. Yeah, it was Draw the Line. It was Aerosmith.
Frank Marino.
It was Aerosmith, Nugent, Frank Marino, and Journey.
Yep. That's a great line.
Man, wait a minute.
My first big show.
Think about that. 1978, all 3 of those bands, all 4 of those. Oh man.
Yeah.
There was nothing bad about any one of those bands at that time. Oh wow.
But Aerosmith, I remember, were a little disappointing to us that day. I think they were just too screwed up.
Oh, they were totally fucked up.
Like Nugent and Frank Marino. Frank Marino is, man, on fire.
I just posted about Frank Marino 20 minutes ago in the butcher shop. That's awesome though, man. I would have loved to have seen that. My number 2, you got the original VHS of Thin Lizzy, Live and Dangerous. I hate this light, man. Someone send me a light. Jesus Christ.
It looks like a box of candy, Butch.
Does it?
No, that one's good.
And then the DVD version of it too.
There you go.
So yeah, Live at the Rainbow, just phenomenal. Just awesome. It's not, they call it Live and Dangerous. It's not Live and Dangerous like the actual album, but to see them at that same time frame though, man, in 78, just awesome.
Vintage time. Yep.
Oh, good stuff.
Cool. Nick.
Hello. So my number 3, I gotta go with I was almost picked 12 Wasted Years, because I remember that one, man.
I saw your reaction.
Yeah, I was like, I almost picked that. And if Live After Death is Live After Death, of course. But for I think Made in England, Made in '88, from the 7 tour. I had that at Blockbuster Video when I worked there. I used to probably just swipe it from there or whatever. But that, Steve Harris directed that. He had a lot more involvement with that, and it, they handpicked the place. I think they were going to have it at they were going to do it at a very, like, one we've all heard of, but they did it at the National Exhibition Center in Birmingham, England, November 27th and 28th. They really, the place was like willing to work with them for the state. That backdrop, that like Seventh Son backdrop, that's just my favorite. And I was looking at the set list. They opened with Moonchild, and I remember when I was young, having not really even gone to concerts yet. And I look back on it, and I've seen pyrotechnics way more than this, but there was something about the way that Moonchild builds up, and and then when it fucking goes into it and the explosions happen and the band runs out onto the stage, like, I remember just feeling like that total adrenaline rush. Like Iron Maiden was the coolest. They were the coolest human beings on the fucking planet. They ruled. They could do no wrong. So that was
until
like
they did.
Yeah, and yet they did after.
They all do, Nick. They all do.
Oh, I know, but there was that beautiful moment, and they, because that was, to me, we that's a whole separate discussion. But
oh, so wait a minute. So Nick, so what you're saying is that you weren't at the Mid-Hudson Civic Center on that tour when they played, huh? That's unfortunate.
He was a wee lad.
Damn, Butch. I wish you had been like my babysitter or something.
Oh, we would have gone. Come on, Nick, don't tell your parents.
No, my God, I would have given anything, bro. But the set list, just with having Evil That Men Do and Infinite Dreams and The Clairvoyant, along with Killers, Heaven Can Wait, like, that's like, Still Life they played. That's like really my personal, like, apex wheelhouse of that band. So I gotta throw Made in England '88 in there. And then my number 2 is going to be the Devin Townsend Project. This beautiful thing I have right here. It's got CDs, DVDs. It even has a personal letter that Devin Townsend wrote everybody that bought it. It's one
Dear
of the
Nick.
most, what's that? Yeah,
Dear
Nick. Yeah, you maniac. It's one of the most artistically beautiful physical products that you could get. So what is it? It is Devin Townsend performing live in Plovdiv, Bulgaria, in a Roman Colosseum, like a real.
Oh, I think I've seen footage of that.
Yeah, I made a few notes here just so I don't sound like it. It was September 22nd, 2017. And
yeah, I have this. Yeah, that's awesome to see. Yeah.
I don't know why. First of all, I don't know why I didn't know about this and go, because I would have. And what makes it special is Devin Townsend performs one of my favorite albums of all time, Ocean Machine. He performs it in its entirety with with the accompaniment of like a full orchestra, behind him, which is just magnificent. And the a lot of the songs are real, like, rich, spacey, proggy numbers that go on a long time. And he added a lot of different embellishments that aren't on the studio album. This will give you an idea of, the same thing with the lighting. It's just like they played in a place that was like from antiquity, and I'm telling you, it's just magical. And Devin is such a performer. He still manages to retain his zany humor, despite like the solemnity and the seriousness of the venue. He's always himself, but that music will bring you to tears at the same time. Like, so it's really just one of the most powerful, amazing, beautiful friggin' live rock / metal experiences that you could possibly have. And I'm an idiot for not being there.
It's a cool package.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, Ralph.
All right, so I got 16 different Iron Maiden VHS or DVDs behind me, and I don't have that one that you guys kept bringing up, the 12 Wasted Years. I think some of that footage is on the
early years. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But I got like 16 of them over here. Every one of these behind me is all music related stuff. But I had something pulled out, but I see everybody's going more for like a live concert, so I'm going to switch one of mine. I was going to talk about this one, Necrophagia, Through the Eyes of the Dead, uncut. It's like a really fucked up rated R video compilation by Necrophagia when Phil was playing from Pantera was playing guitar for him. So I'm gonna go with this instead. Bad Luck 13 Riot Extravaganza. Let the riot begin. This band is fucking nuts. I heard about them before this DVD came out. They my friends in All Out War played with them, and they said after they got done playing, Bad Luck came on, and they play like 2 or 3 songs and just start flipping tables over and smashing bottles, and they totally would go and destroy clubs, and they never got called back to play a place twice, you know. And these guys later on went on to they later on they went on to become Eat the Turnbuckle, the crazy wrestling band that's out there.
Slack.
And but these guys were just crazy, and they would go to these clubs. They'd always be the last band to play because after they were done, they would have to like a riot start. You know, that's the name of the thing. Is Let the Riot Begin, and it's just fucking nuts. These guys would have bats and stuff, and they start smashing shit while their roadies would start taking all the equipment out, getting it out. It's All Out War guys said they were hiding under like a table because people were just fucking running around and smashing shit, and that was the end of the show for them. But yeah, that's my number 3. And then so yeah, my number 2 is here's the big box of it. Let There Be Rock, AC/DC. I always consider this the greatest single performance ever caught on video. Angus is just unbelievable. He's like an unbelievable athlete on this. He's running around nonstop. It still sounds great. It's Bon Scott's last tour. I got it on DVD too. But 1979.
Here's the Blu-ray.
Yeah, I can't put anything above that performance. It's always been my favorite. That's why I always say Angus is the greatest single performer in a band. But just like an honorable kind of mention on that is AC/DC live at River Plate. Like Steve was saying about Rush playing in Rio, they're playing in front of like 200,000 people in this. And just the crowd, I mean, this is way later on, but the crowd reaction is unbelievable.
Jumping up and down.
Yes, it's insane. Yeah.
I've never seen anything like that, you know? But yeah, that's my 2.
Cool. All right, my number 3, I guess, was released in 2003. It's like 5.5 hours worth of music. It's just called Led Zeppelin. And it's got a wealth of great footage from, let's see, we got Live at the Royal Albert Hall, 1970, Madison Square Garden, 1973, Earl's Court, the famous Earl's Court show from 1975, and Nebworth from 1979. Just great footage of Zepp in their prime, and basically all their best songs are included on here, and the footage is in really great condition. So this is like an absolutely must-have set.
Nebworth is almost hard to watch when you see.
Like, that's late, yeah. It's cool. I mean, but yeah, it's so because Jimmy is like a mess there. You can tell. But the
heroin sweats much.
He must sweat 50 gallons of.
Oh my god, heroin sweats. Oh my god, you feel bad for him.
But the set is really good. They play some good stuff in that.
Yeah, he still played good. That's the thing. He might have been fucked up, but he played good.
Oh yeah. And my number 2. There's kind of 2, they kind of go together. They're a package deal for me. So growing up as a Kiss fan, all throughout the years, I remember having so many like bootleg VHSs and DVDs of all these great shows, right? And you're like, and it's terrible quality. And you're like, but it rules. And then eventually the band decided, well, you know what? We're finally going to release those officially because, of course, they want your money. So Kissology Volume 1 and 2.
Yep.
Gotta have them. I mean, there's so many great shows, Cobo Hall and Midnight Special stuff, and then you got just all sorts of great shows on here, and all vintage Kiss from the years that you really want to see them, especially the first one. I mean, the 74, the 77 stuff, just so good.
That's the only one I ever bought. It was just that one.
Yeah, Budokan's on here. The Don Kirshner stuff is on here. The classic show from the Summit. Right, I mean, just so good.
Paul Lynn,
yeah,
I think I bought it because of that.
I was gonna say, in total Kiss fashion, there was all these exclusive discs.
There are three different versions of each.
One version had the Walmart exclusive, one had the Best Buy exclusive.
Yeah, exactly. The Target version, yeah.
Wow.
And it's got the Winterland stuff from '73, which
that's badass.
What year was that released?
This came out, Steve, in 2006.
Yeah, I remember
Was
selling
it that
at the
long
store.
ago?
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
it was a
like-
long
like
time ago.
They were like 6, 7, and 2006, 7, and 8. And,
Yeah, there was
yeah.
3 sets, right? The
Yeah,
third
this
one
is,
was
this is the third. This is the third
Yeah,
one.
no, I don't think I ever got the third one. At least I couldn't
I
find
never
it.
did either.
Yeah, I've only got the first.
Third one is from 92
Right.
through
Okay.
2000.
And that's why I didn't buy that one.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
one
but this
did
has a
nuts.
full set from Revenge and also the full Unplugged show, which is pretty cool, and the full Tiger Stadium show. So and from the reunion,
So, yeah,
and
some-
this
definitely some
this
good
is
stuff.
great because it includes Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park, which is
Yes.
terrible, but
Oh,
so
that's a great film.
but,
Yeah,
but
it's
But
so
I think that they've
so
edited it,
entertaining.
right?
Yeah.
Isn't it edited on that? I don't think it's
No,
not the
this,
same.
This is
that's
actually the
the
European
European
version.
theatrical version.
Yeah, it's called Kiss Me.
So it is an alternate
Attack
cut.
of Attack of the Phantoms in this. Yeah.
But it's so it doesn't. I probably I don't even know if I even watched it. But
You've
does so you
never
guys
seen it?
obviously is this one have the edit where you can see the ace double?
Yeah, he looks like you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like me.
It's
That's
it's classic.
Yeah, that's in there.
Those Kiss videos. I mean, for years we used to do the Orange County Fair. There was a gentleman named Marv Pritchard. Some of you guys might have known him.
Oh
Knew
yeah.
him. Rest in peace now. But we would set up, and that's all he would sell were those shows on VHS at the fair and what.
I mean, those.
I mean,
those
we
Kiss
sold them in the store
compilations
back
were
in the day. Yeah,
huge.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Back of them. I mean,
Yeah.
Yes, tons of VHS tapes
Ah.
he would sell at the fair, and that's all you would hear is Kiss 77, Kiss 78.
Yep. Yeah.
And then the Kiss conventions at those days, we used to do those too. Yeah, wow.
And Gene hated the fact that people were selling those things all over the place.
Well, they did the best thing though, right? If you don't want someone else making money off it, put it out yourself.
Yes.
You know, all these bands are sitting on all this footage, and obviously nobody buys it anymore because now it's all free on YouTube.
Yeah.
But you know, if you want to monetize it, just fucking put it out and sell it.
I used to have a terrible bootleg version of the Kiss Unmasked live in Australia concert, and then they put the same show on I think the second one, number 2, and it's nice and cleaned up and full set and everything looks great.
Yeah, don't tell Gene Simmons, but this room was just full of TVs and VCRs at one time. This exact room. This exact room was a VHS recording thing between wrestling tapes and classic rock stuff.
I was going to say, Steve and I started tape trading with each other back in 1988, and that was all wrestling and rock concerts. Because back
Fairground
then-
shows,
Yeah,
Metallica.
that was
at
the thing.
fair, yeah. Now it's all done. It's all free, and so yes,
Yep.
don't cut your phone.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
All right, Steve, what's your number one?
Number one, I'm sticking with the band from Britain and the album that not an album. I'm saying album because I'm so used to saying albums on this channel, but a VHS or Blu-ray or whatever the heck it was back in the day, song remains the same. 76 film by Led Zeppelin. That's probably the one I've watched the most. And in fact, a couple of years ago during the pandemic, the Led Zeppelin pinball machine came out. I guess it was around the holidays too. Then I'm like, hey Linda, why don't we just my wife Linda, of course, why don't we get that out and find it? I had a bought Blu-ray and I hadn't watched it in a couple of years, and I said, let's sit and watch this. And it's just I think it's a great flick.
It is a lot of fun.
I always think it's really funny when you watch that now
Mm.
to think that Zeppelin was like one of the biggest band. If they weren't the biggest band, they were one of the 2 or 3 biggest bands in the world.
Mhm.
And you watch that show, and there's John Bonham's drums just on the floor on the stage. There's no riser.
No riser, nothing.
There's no nothing. There's no
There's like
fanfare.
2 lights, a red light and a green light.
Like-
It really is concert production at its simplest.
Oh yeah.
That's a flick that I used to go see in the theater a lot.
Yeah,
I
see it.
saw that debut at the Paramount in Middletown when it was brand new. We went on a Saturday afternoon, saw it, a couple of friends at the Paramount Theater here in Middletown when it was new. Then it turned into a midnight show. We used to go to that. It was a pretty long movie, and you'd go in there with a pretty good buzz, and by the time you were done, a lot of people were sleeping. because they would just, go in there and you'd be drinking, and by the end you're just like, especially Dazed and Confused.
Yeah, halfway through Dazed and
That
Confused.
20-minute version of fucking No Quarter. Like, oh my
Yeah,
God.
No Quarter. Yeah,
Take a great power nap during that.
And you've run out, you're running out of booze, and you're in the theater. Chester Cinema used to be a place we'd go. They used to do, that's not even there anymore. You could see it right up to Quickway in 17. And they used to do all those midnight shows. The Pink Floyd, The Walls, the Zeppelin, AC/DC movie was there too, Ralph. The one you talked about.
You go out and get a bite to eat, and Dazed and Confused is still.
And Heavy Metal, the movie.
That was a big one. Yeah, I never got that.
Me and my
I've never
friends
seen the
all
whole
went
thing.
to one of the midnight showings of this, seen this on the big screen at midnight.
Mhm.
And we were partying up big time before we went.
Oh yeah.
First time I ever seen it for sure.
Yeah, I
Wait
saw
a minute. Butch,
Caldor's Theater.
Butch, did you just say you've never seen the whole Heavy Metal, the movie?
Never seen all that. Never seen The Wall.
What?
Not seeing Heavy Metal,
Wait,
the
Butch
movie.
also
I'm
said he never
surprised.
saw Jaws.
I definitely have never
Or
seen
The
The
Exorcist,
Wall.
Wow.
right? You never seen The Exorcist either, right?
Nope.
Jeez,
Nope.
very sheltered.
I've seen all those.
I've seen lots of indie movies, British indie movies, though.
All right, Chris, you're number one.
All right, my number one. Craig mentioned it before, renting it
course.
at a very a premium, but that's because this was pretty hard to get. In 1987, my dad got this for me, and it was $189.
Woo!
$1987. It's the Black and Blue, which was released in U.S. movie theaters in 1980. I actually wrote to the Dio fan club in like 1986 asking about the live evil footage, and they told me it was this, which of course they were wrong, but it's a great show with Sabbath and BOC from 1980. A couple years after I got the VHS and I became a movie collector, I got the Black and Blue Japanese Laserdisc. And then in like 2008 or so, maybe earlier, I think it's 2004. This was released for one day in Europe.
Wow,
This is the one day, and then it was pulled from stores. This is the Black and Blue official DVD.
That's what I was
And
going to ask.
I also do have it on. I have the 35 millimeter theatrical film print that I ran at the local movie theater a few times, but I didn't feel like carrying it because they're big and heavy. But yeah, if you're a Sabbath fan or a BOC fan from that era, that's definitely the way to go.
Yeah.
And, I know Steve. I've asked all four guys in Sabbath about it, and the last time I was on Steve Keeler's show, he had told us that we talked to Vinny Appice, and he told us that Tony Iommi was really pissed off about it, and he actually kicked Sandy Pearlman, BOC's manager and Sabbath's manager, on the way to the stage because Sabbath had no idea that it was being filmed. And I've heard from quite a few people that Tony Iommi, for some reason, is against this film. Maybe he's still angry about it, even though their set is great. So we'll never see it. Illegally. This was the one shot because this was done in Europe, and then there was a U.S. version that was to be released. This was withdrawn, and then the U.S. version was immediately canceled. But I've watched it, through the many copies. Multiple times. I watch it a few times a year.
Wasn't the U.S. version from Nassau Coliseum?
Yeah, it's all the same concert.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
okay. You just in European. Okay, just meaning.
Yeah. So this DVD was the only legit DVD. But
Right.
yep, you're absolutely right. It was shot in October 1980 at Nassau Coliseum, and even that is fucking weird because Sabbath and BOC did this massive tour for months. And they decided to film just one show. And in fact, if you watch it, there's a part, at the beginning of Neon Nights where Ronnie James Dio microphones goes out, and there's no vocal. He has to throw it. He gets real pissed off, and someone gives him another microphone. It's like, well, geez, if you guys had shot more than one show, you could have just used it from another night.
Yeah.
But it was, and it's amazing that this concert was shot in October of 1980, and in December of 1980, it was in movie theaters.
That's quick.
I mean,
Yep.
I have the
I
movie
never saw it.
theater
I remember.
and yeah,
That was one of those midnight movie things
yes,
too.
and I was gonna say, like
I
Steve
never
said,
saw it in the theater.
I
It was a
remember.
midnight movie.
I know. Here in Poughkeepsie area,
Mhm.
New York, there was a place called Cinema 55, and they used to have the ads there. But I was 13, and get my mother to take me to a midnight movie probably was not going to happen. So I wanted to go. That was
I don't know how I didn't go see that.
And
when
that
it
was
came
Blowers
out.
the Cult on my favorite album on that tour. That was the Cultosaurus
Mhm.
tour.
Yeah.
So that's my favorite album. And yeah, man.
I played at Butch at the Silver Cinemas 8 in Poughkeepsie.
When? Probably years ago.
2008, 10,
Really?
5? I can't remember what year, but yeah, I did play it there.
I definitely didn't know you then and didn't know about it because I would have been there because I've seen it now on YouTube. You can find clips of all the songs and put it together that kind of get around it. But yeah, I've never seen the theatrical release.
I think we need to rent a theater so you can run that one more time, my friend.
Yeah.
No, that's a tough part because it's a 35 millimeter film print, so finding a theater with 35 millimeter projectors is tough. But listen, I own the print, so whenever you want, I'm game.
That would be awesome.
What's even rarer than the movie is the 3-minute trailer, because I bought the whole movie for like $50, but I paid like $300 for the 3-minute trailer.
Wow!
Because it's nowhere to be found, and the color is amazing in the trailer, and it's very strange to watch it. The trailer voiceover, where the voiceover trailer guy just keeps going black and blue, and they keep cutting back and forth between shots of Sabbath and shots of BOC. But at the end,
so on the theatrical release, does Blue Oyster Cult have the video in it?
I'm trying to think. I believe the theatrical version, the U.S. theatrical version, Butch, I believe it does open with "Here's Johnny," and on the Japanese version, "Here's Johnny" is a secret. It's at the end. It's after all the credits, and it's also on the end of the DVD. It is strange how they move that for some reason.
Because I remember I've seen the video that they use of the song "The Marshall Plan." It's like the theatrical video, like MTV video. Like what?
Right.
It was really weird.
I mean, I think the movie plays better since it's a concert movie. I think it plays better by opening with the concert footage.
Right.
But yeah, it is strange that the "Here's Johnny" is included.
I was lucky enough to see the tour, so.
Yeah, that's awesome, Steve.
Lebanon Valley Speedway.
I've thought about that. I think I'm not 1,000% sure, Steve. I'm pretty sure that I might have seen that tour at the Civic Center in Poughkeepsie.
I don't believe Butch.
Black and Blue doesn't come there.
No. I'm sorry. No. I don't mean a Black and Blue tour. I mean Blue Oyster Cult by themselves on that tour.
Cultosaurus Erectus. I was there for that. Yeah, I was there for that. I had the T-shirt and everything. That was a cool shirt.
Isn't there a song from that night on the ETI Live?
Yes.
Right, because it's something recorded from.
I think so.
Dr. Music.
I think that's it. Yeah.
But is it from that show?
Somewhere in this room is that shirt from that night, the Black and Blue shirt, because I've showed it on episodes of the past. It's in this room somewhere, but I wasn't even thinking about trying to look for it.
I remember, Steve. I remember you telling me in like 1988 that you had broke up with this girl, but when you were dating her, she had you wound up with 12 Black and Blue shirts, and they were all at her house. And I was like, can you call her? And you're like, I can't call her. I'm married now and whatever. I'm like, I don't care.
Wow.
Can you please call her?
That's a memory that I don't hardly remember now. But probably because all my rock shirts were probably at her house when shit went down. Yeah.
But I don't know how.
You have to call her.
That's what it was. I don't remember all of it, Steve, but somehow maybe it was through the store. Maybe it was like old store stock. And somehow you had a dozen shirts, all different sizes, and it wound up with an ex-girlfriend. And I'm like, holy shit, Steve.
At that time I was selling bootleg shirts because that's the only thing there were. There wasn't really legit shirts in stores. There was all bootlegs. And I used to do but that's how old I am, unfortunately. I'm giving away my age. I was selling T-shirts.
So you gave away your age when you said you saw "A Song Remains the Same" in the theater.
And Black and Blue tour live, yes. But I was selling concert shirts at flea markets and fairs in 1978, 79.
Yeah, it was a
So
big thing.
it could be, I bought a couple of shirts at the show, but I probably had shirts. I found some Polaroid photos of like me just taking pictures in the backyard of shirts that I was selling at shows, like all the classics that would be worth hundreds of dollars now if I had them for
Sure.
eBay.
Polaroid.
Absolutely.
That's gonna say that's
A
your
Polaroid.
next clue, Polaroid.
Yeah, Polaroid.
Hey, remember we were doing Polaroids with the wrestlers? Doesn't seem like
Yeah,
that
you're
long ago.
shaking.
I know.
I'm shaking.
Yep. Yep.
I
All right,
got
Frank.
kids that come around to the store now that have Polaroids. And
I
they
know, it's
snap
come back.
pictures. It's come back a little bit. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, well. Craig, what do you got for number one?
My number one was also mentioned by Count Ralphus, and I went with AC/DC's "Let There Be Rock." I loved watching that when I was younger. It was also one of those ones that I got from that same store, and did a tape-to-tape taping of it. And Bon Scott's just fantastic in it. He's in the musical performances, his moves, his banter, his singing ability, the interviews that's in there. He's funny and engaging, and just it's one of those where you watch it and you just, wow, that's so great, and then you're kind of sad at the end, especially where when seeing that, when the first time I saw it, it's like I'll never get a chance to see him perform or anything, and that he was just taken from us too soon. And but what a performance, especially from songs like Whole Lotta Rosie, the Highway to Hell songs, which at the time there was no real live versions to grab of those. The If You Want Blood album is the Powerage tour. So, I mean, they do 4 songs from Highway to Hell in that concert. And, hearing Girls Got Rhythm live and everything when you'd only heard the studio version was really cool. Even there's a part where Phil Rudd is tearing it up in his Porsche, ripping up some field somewhere. And then Bond's like dancing on some ice, and that, and then he kind of like disappears, or he appears at one point almost like a ghost, and it's just again just a phenomenal performance from Bon and the whole band. I mean, there's interviews with all 5 of the members. Of course, it's mostly Bon and Angus that do most of the speaking, but just a phenomenal show. And again, just you feel kind of sad at the end that that he's gone, but we have this at least for the memory.
Yeah.
And that was another midnight movie that was released theatrically in America.
And that's another one, it's I'm very fortunate. I've talked about this many times before, but just piggybacking off of that I saw Bon in 79, but I just found this out like maybe a month and a half ago. I've been thinking since 1979 when I saw him when I was 12, 13. 12. I've been thinking all this time that I saw them on the Highway to Hell tour, and it wasn't. It was for that. It was for Let There Be Rock. They toured for the live record because Highway to Hell didn't come out until August. So they were out with UFO touring for an album that, before Highway to Hell came. Highway to Hell was already recorded and everything, but I thought for sure it was that tour. But looking up stuff on the internet, you find out that no, that tour started like 3 weeks after I saw them. So it's crazy to think that I saw them in that little bit of time. And when I saw the set list, they didn't play anything from Highway to Hell, which is even crazier. So it was interesting just thinking back to your 12-year-old memories. Like, yeah, I saw him and this was cool, but I'm thinking that it was one thing and it really was 3 weeks later was a different tour. So it's really, really cool, especially with
that was common back then, right? Where you
yeah,
they had albums already in the can, just waiting for the release. They were already out on tour, and so it's not like, all right, we release the album, then we go on tour the week after. It didn't always work that nicely, right? Yeah.
Yep. They just rolled one right into the other. And UFO were touring for Strangers in the Night with Paul Chapman. So that so they were both touring for live records, which was really cool.
For a live album, right? Yep.
They show a poster really quick of that show. Does anybody remember who they were playing with that night?
Judas Priest.
Yep.
Very cool.
Very cool. Is it me?
What's your number one? Yep.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Ozzy, Speak of the Devil. There was, again, trying to get this lighting here. There you go. That's a little bit better. And it had Brad Gillis sign it to me too. Yeah, this is I have this recorded off of MTV back in the 80s on VHS. And then when it came out on DVD, I had to buy it, of course, and I think it's out of print again. Man, I've talked about this a bunch of times with you guys on the show, how much that record means, and that's the only thing that I wish they had called this something different, because this is not Speak of the Devil. Speak of the Devil is, you know, the album with All Sabbath, and that's not what this is. This is the Randy Rhoads tour out in California, which was actually recorded in Brad Gillis's backyard out in Northern California near San Francisco. So it's the Ozzy set with some Sabbath songs at the end of it. So why are they called this Speak of the Devil? And then they have the album Speak of the Devil, that they're different, but they're the same name. It makes no sense. But just seeing that, man, God damn, I remember seeing that on MTV, especially seeing Brad Gillis with, for me as a guitar player, even back then, seeing him with that black Les Paul Custom, and he had a Floyd Rose on it. And you're like, I can remember looking at the TV, like, he's got a Floyd Rose on a Les Paul?
That's not supposed to be like that.
And this is 1982. You know, Floyd Rose wasn't even like a thing really yet. Eddie had one, Neil Sean had one, Gillis had one. It was like 5 guys that had them, but it was epic. And again, I love the guitar tone. It means so much to me, that tone. Oh my God. So yeah, I've seen this video from back when MTV used to show it every other week, and then recording it on VHS, and then when this came out on DVD, and I've seen this show so many times, but it's so awesome. And Tommy Aldrich is just killing. But yeah, to me, it's always about Brad Gillis on that one. I know that there's people out there that don't like Gillis, Chris. I know there's people
listen, I like him, and I have that DVD. It's great. I just wish he learned the solos from Tony Iommi. That's all.
He didn't learn Randy Rhoads' solos neither.
Right.
He did a little bit of each, and he went off on his own and did the bar stuff. But I love that video so much. It's just so cool to see it, and you know, it's a stamp of time of, you know, Brad Gillis was with Ozzy from April '82 till December, so that was it. That little stamp of time, and then everything changed, and you know, so to have video footage of that time right after, you know, wish we had video of Randy, but maybe one day. But yeah, I love that. There was no doubt, and you had to figure, if Lizzie was my number 2, you know, it had to be something probably like Gillis with this. So but yeah, I love this so much. Gillis just kills at a fucking record, and on that show, awesome.
But you're not the only guy that likes Gillis doing that material, because I have Mark Garcia, you guys all might know, that play, at least guys local to around here. He's a guitarist that plays in Sanctuary. He's been a long time guitarist in the area. He's putting together a Sabbath and Dio tribute now, and doing some Sabbath and some Ozzy. And he goes, I'm going to do a couple of these songs. I don't remember exactly. He was in the store the other day because we're setting up a gig at Quinn's in the fall. And he says, I'm going to do these songs Brad Gillis style. And I thought of Butch immediately.
Yeah.
It's called, and the project's called Lady Evil. They're going to be opening up for Red Hot, which is an all-female Motley Crue tribute, something we're setting up in November. But, so Lady Evil is the new band doing Ozzy's Sabbath Dio with a female vocalist, no less.
I'm sold.
It's all Chris is coming. I'll get you a table, Chris.
Don't do it October 20th. I'm sold.
No, it's going to be November 18th, Saturday night.
That's doable.
Right, that's good. That's doable. Yeah, sounds good.
All right, Nick.
All right. So I'm going to reliably plunge us back into obscurity.
Oh boy.
No kidding.
Because that's what I do. You guys are talking about all these AC/DC, Zeppelin, top-notch stuff, and I'm like, here I come. But no, it's going to be something a little more palatable, I think. I'm wearing the shirt. The band is Therion from Sweden. They are, I guess, a progressive metal band that has started out as a death metal band. And I've talked about them before on the channel. They're not very well known outside of the underground. However, they are the band that has mixed orchestral classical music and opera with metal. To me, the best I've ever seen it done. And that is illustrated no more beautifully and completely than on, it's called Live in Miskulch. And it is from 2007. And basically, it's hard to even do it justice. If you have any love of like giant productions and wonderful orchestral embellishments to music, to metal music, you should definitely check it out. The band is comprised of its mastermind, Christopher Janssen, who is a lover of all things classical and came up in like that in the death metal world in the late 80s in Sweden. And what makes this special is they basically got a full, complete orchestra, string section, horn section. They got they got a male chorus, they got a male choir, a female choir. And, with respect to the classical instruments, they didn't want to go over top of it. So the band isn't even front and center. It's the conductor and all the other 200 something piece elements of the orchestra that really they combine it so beautifully. They do a number of classical pieces with a metal accompaniment. Mozart, Verdi, Dvorak, and who else? And Wagner. So they managed to mix those elements together in such a way that is really cool. The lead, I guess, should be, I don't know if she's a soprano or whatever, but the lead female opera singer is a woman named Lori Lewis, who's from Minnesota. And she was in a band called Asma Deva. Did any of you ever hear that? It was like a female vocal, like Nightwish kind of band that you guys would probably like. It's funny, it's not really my thing, but this woman sings like powerful fucking opera to these metal songs. And I don't even like music like this normally. So that's why this is so special. Like this era of Therion is just like mind-blowing. They've never come close to it after. He got rid of all the guys in the band and went in a slightly different direction that I didn't really follow. But much like Maiden, England 88 was the end of an era with Iron Maiden. This basically signifies the end of an era with this band. And I can't tell you how fucking good it is. And when the DVD, the way they edit it, they'll show like the conductor going, all this, and the band is wearing a tuxedo and like suits and shit, but they're like their guitars, and the crowd. Apparently, this was going on at an opera fest, so like there was a lot of people that went to this opera fest in Hungary.
Shit.
Yeah, not knowing that there was going to be a fucking metal band there, I guess, and I guess it went well, because again, like I said, they weren't lighting shit on fire. It was very, very like people were dressed up. But you can hear the crowd screaming in between songs. So the Miskulch experience is just, oh my God, it's so goddamn good. You guys got to check it out.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Is my buddy Snowy Shaw on that or no?
No, he's not, but they went, he was somebody that played with Therion and Gothic Kabbalah. Yeah, and it was very good. I mean, he's Snowy Shaw. But I just wish he didn't get rid of the two brothers he had playing guitar and bass. And maybe part of it is because I met all these people back then and they were so fucking cool, because we were talking about the Chance, our local favorite venue, and getting like, sometimes there were shows there that didn't quite draw a lot of people. And I actually saw this band at the Chance. They only had about 6 accompanying singers. The rest of the classical stuff was on backing tapes or whatever. And I remember the singer like just couldn't understand Poughkeepsie. It's like, oh, I have to eat our French fries. Like it was just like, and he's like talking to me and my friends, and we're just like, we love you. And he's like, oh, well, I don't believe it. He just wasn't made to tour America. This is a guy for like Europe, and they go to South America and they have huge crowds, but not in upstate New York. But I've seen them a number of times, met the guys along the way, and they were just super great people. But if you want to hear, rockin' versions of Mozart, this is the place to go.
Oh,
really, really great virtuoso shit. And that's my number one.
I saw them right around that time at BB King's in New York City. And
I was at that show.
You were at that show? Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yep.
Yeah, they had like a bunch of singers, but they couldn't bring over all the instrumentalists. So yeah, there was all keyboard driven in the backing tapes, but it was still really cool.
Yeah, I
He's a nice
remember
guy.
talking to one. What's that?
He's a really nice guy. I interviewed him backstage that night. He was so.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Very
He's
nice.
deep. He's a real thinker. He loves all
Was
that
was
stuff.
that in the chance or the law? That's right.
The one at the chance was at
In
the
the
chance,
chance.
not the loft. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like you talk about things like that. I remember when Sabaton played the loft and there was like 30 people there.
Snowy
And
Show
like
was in that band too.
2 weeks later,
got
they played the Swedish Woodstock, they called it. And there was 500,000 people or some craziness there.
And then they
So
come-
that's yeah.
Yeah, one of the opera singers on that Therion tour, I talked to her extensively. Man, she was like, she looked like Hilda from the Vikings. Like she was like
The blonde?
5'11", 6 foot, blonde. Yeah, like
yeah, I remember her. I
she
remember.
looked
Her.
like she could play, football. She was a big girl, and man, what a voice! And she was telling me about her experience going to like professional opera school. And one funny thing she said, she's like, well, when you're singing for your exams there, and everybody's watching you, and it's a silent room, and they're just all looking at you, and everything is your voice. She's like, I like playing in front of a heavy metal band because if I fuck up, the guitars like sometimes might cover it up. And I'm like, yeah, we're not going to know if you fuck up. But it was cool. Those worlds don't clash very often. And I think Therion made sure that they clashed well so that both elements were given their equal chance to let their dynamics shift together. You know what I mean? Because if you just play over the classical, then it's just like everybody else. But they really let the classical have its space. And so great.
Yeah, Nick, I was going to say I saw them do one of the orchestra shows. I want to say I think it was in Vakken in could have been like 2003 or 4 maybe. I don't know. I know you went there a bunch of times too.
Yeah, I saw them at
either there or Grass Pop. It was one of the big festivals where they had the choir and the orchestra and all that stuff. And I'll be honest, it was a little over my head. I mean, I did watch it. It was entertaining, but a little over my head.
Well, especially at a metal fest, everybody's just drinking beer and fucking going crazy, and these guys, they are way up here. And it's funny because you guys know I love all this crazy, loud, blooding, fucking spike shit. But I love that, of course. But this is just, I don't know. I've never liked anything like this before. It's just, it's its own. It's its own thing. Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
All right, Ralph.
All right. So yeah, fucking 1985, The Ultimate Revenge. Here's The Ultimate Revenge 2 that came out in 1989. This is a great tape too, with Death and Dark Angel and Forbidden and Raven. This tour came to the chance, except for Raven wasn't on the bill. Faith of Fear was on this, but this is great. But this is the most important live VHS thing I ever seen back in the day. Me and my friends would watch this constantly over and over. It's my first underground metal VHS. This is before Cliff 'Em All came out. This was the first time I ever seen what Exodus or Slayer and even Venom kind of looked like, except for the pictures that were on the albums and stuff. I used to think, man, these are the ugliest motherfuckers. This is such a dirty, grimy looking scene. And it was scary at first, but man, I could not stop watching this. Me and my friends used to know every word to the interviews and stuff. And in the beginning, they had that clip of them all waiting online to get into the show. And the one guy,
that's part of the tape.
Yeah.
And another guy headbanging. And then the one guy's like, upstate motherfucker. We used to say that all the time. Upstate New York motherfucker. And it's so weird how me and Craig, I got hundreds of live VHS and DVDs, but me and Craig have 2 of the same 3 out of all of these. But yeah, this is the most important videotape I've ever owned. And I can't believe I don't have a Blu-ray. I always wish that there would be a special edition where they show the full shows of this, and how great that would be, and just have it all nice and cleaned up, but I guess there's problems with copyrights and stuff, so this never gets officially released on DVD or anything. But yeah, most important ever, Ultimate Revenge.
If I'm not mistaken, the reason there's no Venom footage, right? Because Mantis couldn't get into the country or decided not to come.
Oh yeah,
and that's why there's those 2 music videos instead.
Yeah, they had 2 guitar players fill in on that tour, and but it's still they could have whatever footage they were taking the. Oh yeah, that's right. They're just videos. Yeah, they're not even real live footage. But yeah, this the Slayer and Exodus. You know that there's got to be those full shows, got to be on tape someplace. So that would be such an awesome extra special bonus on a DVD.
Well, and then remember at the end of it is all of the whole combat records albums that the guy is saying, abattoir, vicious attack, impaler. If we had brains, we'd be dangerous. They keep
rods. Let them eat metal.
Yeah. So that part's hilarious. And to this day, a friend of mine, if I ever say to him that if I eat seafood, we always say like, it ain't no trout. This is piranha.
Ain't no goldfish.
All right, my number one has been my number one for a long time. Growing up here in the Hudson Valley, there was this mythical festival in 1969 in Bethel, New York, that I've been just fascinated with my whole life. And they used to play the film on TV at least once a year. And I used to sit there and watch it and wish I was old enough to be at this festival, but I was only 3 years old at the time. And it's Woodstock. I've seen this over and over and over again. And just, Santana and Hendrix and 10 Years After and Crosby, Stills and Nash and The Who and all these great bands playing, and you get like maybe a song or two in the film, and you get all this other stuff, and half naked people and naked people traipsing around in the lake and running around through the woods, and people sitting in mud and sliding down the hills, and the lines of cars and all this kind of stuff. And funny enough, in August of 1969, when the festival was actually going on, we lived in Brooklyn, New York at the time, but my grandparents had a summer home in Goshen, New York, and we were actually in Goshen that weekend for Woodstock.
Oh, wow.
My parents still remember that weekend seeing like people just leaving their cars on Route 17 and just walking just up, because you couldn't go anywhere, right? There were just thousands and thousands of cars, and the gridlock was crazy. People were just walking all the way up to Bethel, New York, in Sullivan County. So, but yeah, I was sitting there in Goshen, 3 years old, not knowing what was going on. But yeah, I would have loved to have been there. So, but yeah, I mean, some great performances on here, and if you get the big deluxe edition on Blu-ray, it's got all the footage that didn't make the movie, so you can see Mountain and the Grateful Dead and all this other cool stuff. But, yeah, Woodstock. That's mine.
Could you imagine waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning, whatever time it was, and Jimi Hendrix is going on at 6 o'clock in the fucking morning?
Well,
didn't
he play Monday morning?
Monday morning.
It was like that Monday morning.
Left?
Yeah.
Apparently there was also, this just puts it in perspective. So there were like 500,000, 600,000 people there that weekend. But when Hendrix played at 6 a.m. Monday morning, there was like less than 20,000 people left, and tons of garbage. So if you look at the footage of Hendrix and they pan out the audience, there's just shit everywhere and hardly any people, because everybody had left already. Long weekend, right?
But you talk to those 500, whatever, those thousands of people that left, they were all there though.
Oh, for sure.
Oh yeah, they were there for that.
Yeah.
Hendrix is great. Oh, of course.
I know a few people that are Woodstock, originals that still come in my shop.
If you go to the Bethel Museum there, they got a curved screen, and they
nice.
play that all day long. Like, you could sit there all day and just keep watching that all day long. I watched like the whole Who set sitting in their little curved theater there.
My uncle was an electrician my family were all up in Sullivan County at that time. I was 8 years old when this happened, so I didn't go. I didn't really know much about it then either. I was playing with Hot Wheel cars and matchboxes. I didn't, but yeah, my uncle was an electrician, and he was up there, and he lived in Callicoon, which is not far from Bethel, and all my aunts and uncles lived up in that area. And my father stayed clear of that area that weekend, because usually we'd be back and forth up to Hortonville or Lake Huntington, which is right around the corner from there.
Yep. Yeah. Crazy time. And you mentioned
that museum's a great spot. If people are watching this and haven't been there, they're going up to the museum at the Bethel Woods.
Yeah, they got two screens in there, and they're playing like different versions of different screens. One's like a big giant tall screen, the other's a cool one. And you feel like
I've never been into the museum. I just walking up to the show and go to the show and walk out.
I went
Good to
very
go on a
early
day.
on, but they've really built it up in there now.
Yeah, I have to make a trip.
Good to go on a day where you're just up in that area because
Yeah.
you want to spend the time there and not be in a rush and sit there and watch all the stuff on the big screen. 'Cause
Yeah.
you can do it in like an hour, but you want to sit there and really appreciate it. Go there when you're not doing anything else.
That's what I did once. I brought my wife there. It was on one of her birthdays. There was no shows or anything. We just, hey, let's what are you gonna do for birthday? We'll go up and we just did the museum and had something to eat up there.
Yeah.
And you get the whole place to yourself when you do it on a day where there's nobody going for a show. You get the whole place to yourself.
Yep, for sure.
All right, so I know we're running long, so just flip through some quick honorable mentions. Steve, you got any?
Yeah, since we're talking documentaries, Murder in the Front Row, the Exodus thrash metal documentary. This was a poster that was done by Dirty Donnie. It's about the documentary, and you'll find out all about why posers must die from that movie.
The documentary based on the book. So
Yeah, well, yeah, and that was also a documentary. Yeah, it was based on the book and the poster. Yeah, and I mentioned I think Iron Maiden live in Rio also already. So yeah, I'm done. I gotta hop off anyhow too.
I'm surprised you didn't mention Pink Floyd live at Pompeii.
I should have.
That's quite good. Yeah,
I'll leave it for that for you.
Chris.
I had a ton, but yeah, we're running late, so I cut out almost all of them out. I'll just mention like 2 or 3.
We started late.
Alcatraz live in Japan. This is a Blu-ray set that came out a couple years ago, but the show's from almost 40 years ago. But
I saw them on that tour in Poughkeepsie.
wow, yeah, I wish I could have. This is a great set.
Open for Ted Nugent.
Deep Purple Cal Jam from April 1974.
Yeah,
The show with Coverdale and Hughes, just amazing.
Is that Blu-ray?
This is a DVD. I believe it's on Blu-ray, but I'll be honest, Butch. The DVD looks worse than the VHS rip that I had. So
I have the official, but my cover's different than that. That's why I was wondering if it was Blu-ray.
Yeah, no. This is DVD release, and it was released a couple times, but I swear, I'm like, this DVD looks shittier than the VHS I have of it. So I'm like, should I don't know how the Blu-ray looks.
Right.
But I am cautious about buying it again.
Gotta go look.
But yeah, if somebody gets it, then or put it in the comments if the,
I
the Blu-ray looks. This one I got a couple years ago for the DVD, Rainbow: A Light in the Black, and it's got a DVD of Rainbow from Castle Donington, 1980 with Graham Bonnet, which I was never out previously. And I think somebody mentioned Rush. There's my favorite Rush Blu-ray, the Time Machine tour. When they did all of Moving Pictures from start to finish. And
that was great. Yeah.
Cool. Greg.
To go along with AC/DC's Let There Be Rock, I've AC/DC's Plug Me In. This is the 3-disc version, which goes from there's just a ton of live performances on this. AC/DC's Family Jewels. This has lots of live performances plus their regular videos for things for their songs up through 1990. The Nazareth from the Beginning. This is from the Expect No Mercy tour. It's a live BBC concert, which is really cool, and includes a handful of promo videos from the time, which are really kind of primitive looking for that, but the concert part is really cool. This is Ian Gillan live from 1990 on the Naked Thunder tour, which is pretty cool. You get to hear him play some different songs that you wouldn't normally get to hear.
Who's on guitar? Is that Yannick?
No, this is Steve Morris.
Okay.
His name is. And I have DirecTV, and one of the channels that I have is Access TV, and they show lots and lots of music documentaries on even bands that I really don't care a whole lot about, but they're just really good ones where they'll have about the Doobie Brothers and Leonard Skinner. I've seen Allman Brothers. They have a great set of documentaries about those. They just recently showed the Triumph movie.
Awesome.
which was really, really good. And last is just The Decline of Western Civilization Part 2 with the best pool scene ever with Chris Holmes. And so that's my last one.
That was a classic. I drove down to Rockland County to see that in the movie theater by myself.
Wow.
That was cringy. It's awesome, but you felt so bad for people, and when that came out, I was already friends with the guys in the Armored Saint, and they kind of had cameos. I'm like, this Joey. That was.
You feel bad for Chris Holmes' mom, sitting there while he's like.
She was the greatest though. She's just looking at him like.
He falls off his chair. It's like, is she going to rescue him? Is he going to drown?
Oh, it was so great.
I just noticed you're wearing a Wofat shirt. Very cool.
Oh, yes.
Great man. Butch, you got any left?
Yeah, you already talked about the Kissology, so I don't got to mention that one. I will mention this one though. Gojira, the Flesh Alive. Holy shit!
Yeah.
You want to talk about probably besides Meshuggah, the tightest band on the planet? Fucking Gojira. I know Nick loves that one. Live After Death, even though it was never my big favorite, but I do like it. ZZ Top live in Germany, 1980. God damn it.
That's awesome.
You want to talk about a band that already had a phenomenal history, and just before they blew up, you watch this and you see how young they were. They had so much energy on that show. Phenomenal. Of course, another Lizzie. Again, I can't get the light, but live at the National Stadium, 75. And it's also got John Sykes on it. They got a Sykes in it. So there's a drinking game. I don't have anything left in my glass, but so I'll make it like I'm drinking. And then this one that is so far out of print.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if any of you guys have this. The Queensryche Live Crime.
Oh, I had it. I remember that.
And Nick, this is I think this is VHS. I don't think this is. Yeah, this is where you got a CD and it's on VHS.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
This is
I've
probably
seen
worth
it
some
before,
money.
but I don't. Yeah,
This is probably
had-
worth some money.
I had that in the store not that long ago.
But honestly, I don't have it. I don't have it the physical. I have on my computer. I have all the video of it and everything. But in 1985, Queensryche had live in Japan from the Warning Tour. That's the shit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Yeah.
man, they were hungry and just killing.
Is
On
that
the
one that they
first
have?
fucking
Is
tour.
that the one where they have the video for "Take Hold of the Flame"? Is it that concert?
It's from that concert. Yeah. Yep.
That's cool.
If you can find that again, I know it's on YouTube. If you can check that out, that's phenomenal. Live in 1980, live in Japan, 1985. Awesome. Queensryche.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Nick, you got any left?
Yeah, I just got a few. Holding down the underground. That's what I do. Ancient Rites and the Horde Stood as One. Belgian black metal band. Pretty well, not really black metal, but a little black metal.
Belgian
And
black metal.
yeah, and the drummer on this awesome DVD has passed away, Walter. From this oh my god, it was hard to get a hold of this. It's back 2002 this came out, like really hard to track that down. So that's the original. And then Season of Mist put out a series of metal box DVDs. My black metal bands, Shooter, live in Oslo, tearing it down with fire and brimstone and Satan in 2005 in Oslo. That's Shooter. And then the Arcturus Shipwrecked in Oslo. Any Prague fans, Pete, from your other show should always know about Arcturus. They're brilliant, zany and crazy. And of course, Primordial from Ireland, All Empires Fall. Wonderful, heartfelt, amazing. From Ragnarok Festival, Germany, 2008. The band Primordial.
I just got notified of their new studio album today, actually.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah. You have it?
No, well,
Would you say
I have the promo? Yes.
Oh, if you're looking for a reviewer. Amorphous put out Forging the Land of a Thousand Lakes. It was an anniversary set. Just live in at Summer Breeze Open Air 2009 and an Oslo show, Oulu, which is in northern Finland, so in their home country. And the only other thing is that they never made. There's videos of it on YouTube, but it's only part of a CD set. Is Amorphous did an evening with friends at Huvula, where they took a lot of their more mellow songs, and they did like almost like a stripped down, not quite acoustic version of them, so that Tommy's voice, his clean vocals, really get to shine. And they pick some songs that aren't very known, like Alone and Far from the Sun, and they do beautiful versions of that in a beautiful setting in Finland. So it doesn't get much better than that for me. So that's all.
Cool. Ralph.
I had a bunch of movies pulled out because I thought like movies would be included to this too. But Suburbia, great.
Steve, start counting, Steve.
Oh,
No, I'm not. I'm not going crazy. I'm not going to be too.
Yeah,
bummed.
just turn around and count all the
State of
ones on the
Mind.
wall.
This is like my punk. This is like my punk version of like the Ultimate Revenge, where we used to watch this all the time. Another State of Mind, VHS, and that. Here's one that's not an official one, but Iron God, Rob House,
yeah.
or something.
Wow.
Creek at, Camden. But this one's a great one. Cramps
I was there.
Live at Napa State Hospital. They played for a bunch of patients.
Jesus.
1978 is a real DVD.
I wonder how that went over.
Great. They all loved it.
I loved it.
Roger Waters, The Walls, the best production I ever seen live. And it's great to have a great, perfect, beautiful Blu-ray version of that show.
With Snowy White on guitar.
Yeah. He's with them for years and
Yes,
years.
sir.
Rainbow, 1977,
Yeah,
live
that's a
in
good
Munich.
one.
Great one. Bauhaus, live at the Hammerstein Ballroom. This was a great one on VHS because I went to the show. I was at the show. And I just picked this one out of the hundreds over there because I figured Nick would like this one. Sam,
I have that. Yes.
But, yeah, I got tons of other ones, but I'm sparing you all. I know we're running a little late, and I try to calm down a little bit.
Black Trip rules, Ralph. That's a great one. I have that somewhere buried.
Figured you did.
Yeah.
All right, I just got a couple here. There's so many to choose from, right? I just started just grabbing a couple. I really love this one a lot. Opeth live at the Royal Albert Hall.
Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, whoever thought a band like Opeth would play at the Royal Albert Hall, right? Dream Theater, Scenes from New York on the Metropolis 2, Scenes from a Memory Tour. Awesome stuff. Roseland Ballroom, kick-ass show. I love the Mick Taylor era of the Rolling Stones. Here's the Rolling Stones, ladies and gentlemen, from the 72 tour. Amazing stuff. And last but not least, I was there. Heaven and Hell, otherwise known as Black Sabbath, live at Radio City Music Hall. Magical evening. So,
what's great about the Opeth is that they do the deep purple font
yes,
on that cover. I love that.
Yep, absolutely. Very cool.
Yeah, Pete, I'm surprised you didn't have 200 Motels. Frank Zappa. That was one of those midnight movies that they used to show.
I know, that is pretty cool. I actually almost pulled the Roxy and Elsewhere.
Now he's showing them. Ralph's showing them.
He's getting them in.
It's
Hard, I saw
easy.
Hard and Heavy.
It's easier this way.
Is the deal. Yeah.
Maiden.
See, you can have
Candlemass.
It's three picks with unlimited honorable mention.
What's that Candlemass one you had?
Live in Stockholm, 2003.
Beautiful.
I think I have that too. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, there's so many good ones. So cool. Well, there you have it, everybody. Some of our favorite concert films. Let us know what your favorites are down there in the comments below, and we'll see you back here in 2 weeks here on the Hudson Valley Squares. Till then, visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. Ralph is still going. We're on YouTube, Facebook, we're on YouTube.
We gotta go
all together all the damn time. Ralph's got a million of them. Till next time, for Steve Keeler, Chris Allo, Craig Kaminsky, Butch Jones, Nick Franco, and Count Ralphus, I am Pete Pardo. We'll see you in 2 weeks here on the Hudson Valley Squares. Have a good one, everybody. Take care.